Hello everybody, and welcome to the finale of Let's Play Banjo-Tooie. Well folks, let's say we go ahead and put that witch in her place at long last. Oh, looks like there's no one here. We should go home now.
Wow, it's one heck of a view from up here.
Sure is, but doesn't it seem strange that Gruntilda isn't up here to meet us?
Obviously chickened out. I've enjoyed our adventure, but let's get back to the card game.
Well, how are you guys going to be doing the card game if you guys don't have no house now? Well, I guess they probably could do it at Ball's place, so, I mean, they're just going to stay over there. What the fuck is... Is that the drill from the beginning? Holy shit, it's been like since the intro we haven't seen it. Hag 1, Monstrous Mechanical Mud Muncher. So, we're fighting a drill? Wow, that's hardcore.
Banjo?
Oh, look at the size of that!
I'm sure it wasn't that big before.
How could we have missed it? Maybe it's because you guys have never seen that drill before? I mean, you've only seen the tracks of it, but damn. Are we fighting it? Oh no, it's Grunty.
Finally! After 2 years, revenge time! Don't bet on it, Bone Brain. We'll see, little bird. We'll see. Where's the laser button? Darn it! Someone pass the manual for this thing. Ah, yes. Here we go.
Alright, this is it, folks. The final battle against the drill. Well, we're fighting Gruntilda, actually, though. Yep, this is actually our second fight against Gruntilda. Well, just in this game, though, because, I mean, we fought previously in Banjo-Kazooie. So all I gotta do is avoid the lasers.
Thought the quiz was over, did you? Think again. I still got quite a few question cards up my sleeve. Answer correctly and maybe I'll go a little easier on you.
Alright, so somehow she actually still gets some quiz questions during the final boss. So basically what it is, though, is that, you know, if you answer her questions correctly, then she'll actually be using her spells at a much slower rate. And actually just kind of take a while for using her spells, too, so they're easier to avoid. If you get an answer wrong, though, then she actually fires her spells at a faster rate, and so you have to quickly just try to avoid them while you're shooting at her. So, while she's using her spells, this is actually where you switch over to FPS mode. And so what you gotta do is you have to shoot eggs at her. And that's all you have to do, just shoot the eggs.
1-0 to the pesky bear. More lasers are required. How do I switch them all on? This one? Lovely. Here we go again.
Alright, so she's got more lasers at her disposal. Yeah, Grunty will actually be, you know, having a lot of attacks in her arsenal. So yeah, just avoid more of those lasers and kind of like repeat the process too. So yeah, once you start to attack her, then, you know, that's when you can be able to, you know, just go to, that's when you immediately switch to FPS mode and then shoot eggs at her. And, yeah, so that's all you gotta do. While you're avoiding her spells, you want to go use the left and right C buttons to strafe, and so that's actually the easier way to actually be able to shoot her with eggs.
Not again! Time for something new, methinks. Plenty more tricks left in this beauty. Activate the mortar cannon. Bombs away!
Alright, so this is actually where she'll start blasting the mortar cannon. So whenever they hit the ground, then they actually split into multiple shells and they'll try to aim right, or shoot right at you. So all you gotta do is just avoid them. It's always best to use a talent rod to, you know, for a faster speed. And then I got another question. What was switch for the burger stand in Witchy World? It was on top of the ticket booth. Yeah, because you know, two switches there, but yeah, just for the burger stand. So you can actually use any kind of elemental eggs to shoot her if you want to. I recommend you use the fire eggs because, you know, they're easier to handle and they take a little more damage too.
I need more firepower. Bring out the other mortar cannon. Double bombs away.
Alright, so she's going to be using 2 mortar cannons in this one, so yeah, just there's like more shells they have to avoid too. So yeah, like I said, you can use any of the eggs. The blue eggs will just take, you know, just 1 damage from her. Fire eggs will actually take 2 though. You can also use grenade eggs against her because they actually have the most attack power, but I would probably recommend you use fire eggs just for a nice little balance between the shots and, you know, for more power. Because, you know, when you use grenade eggs, there's a little bit of a delay time between your shots, so I recommend you use fire eggs for a good kind of attack advantage. Because, you know, you have a better chance.
Fetch the cannons back in. Open the exhaust port. Oh, yes! Feel the power of that V10 beast. Crank the drill up. Let's get him!
Alright, so one thing I do want to say about this final boss, the battle itself, it is tough. Like, I would say arguably even harder than the Gruntilda fight in Banjo-Kazooie. Because, like, you know, the thing about this boss fight is that, you know, Grunty will actually escalate on her attacks. Like, you know, actually starts off, you know, just like being quite a simple challenge, but, you know, but the difficulty of this boss fight actually progresses the more you attack her. Where, you know, she has plenty of attacks up her arsenal. And so, yeah, you have to be really careful because, you know, it can be very tough. So, oh yeah, that's kind of a trick question because I had to take a guess at how many buildings were in Jinjo Village. See, I kind of like to repeat the process, you know, just you know, use Regal Blaster. As a matter of fact, it actually is required to have Regal Blaster because if you don't have it, then you won't be able to enter. But you should be able to have it from Mayhem Temple because that's where you learn to move. So yeah, you want to be careful with the spells here too. But yeah, this fight is tough, and you know, you really got to be careful because it actually gets harder as you progress through the fight itself. So now her machine's starting to malfunction. So this is actually your chance to shoot out the Clockwork Kazooie egg and get into the small hole. And then once you go inside the digger, you see these two batteries right here. All you gotta do is just use the detonate on those batteries, and then they'll start to explode.
Eh? I heard an explosion. What's that burning smell?
All right, so yeah, I heard you'll actually still be able to run, but you know now it's being a little more erratic. Hey, you want to be careful with the drill too because she's gonna try to inch in on you whenever like when you're in front of the drill, and so try to like and just kind of drill you in there. So yeah, like I said, it is a very tough boss fight, and so I know I'm actually kind of cheating at this though because I do have the honeyback cheat on, and I know you guys are probably going to be yelling at me in the comments for, oh, you're cheating. And well, I mean, you know, the thing about it is though is that if you want a real challenge, then oh yeah, I got this one wrong because I couldn't figure out what it was. So yeah, this is actually where she uses the faster spells, but yeah, it is, like I said, it is very tough, and so if you want a real challenge, then you make sure you have the honeyback cheat off though. But even when you do have the honeyback cheat on, then you know it'll still be just as hard though. And so yeah, you can see I'm still taking damage, or quite a bit of damage too. So yeah, it's tough. Yeah, so you really got to be careful with this one though. All right, so let's go show the other battery. I will say though, I absolutely fucking love the music that plays here because, like, you know, it is a lot more intense and more menacing than the previous boss. I mean, you know, because the first boss, like, while it was tense, it still, you know, kind of sounded fitting for a witch. But yeah, there's the other battery blown up.
Oh no! We're losing power! No! Don't stop, Mr. Drill! My lovely lasers! Can someone phone for a tow truck? Right, that's it! I've had enough! We fight to the death!
Alright, folks, so this is actually the point where Grunty will no longer fuck around this time. And so, by this point, she doesn't give you any quiz questions anymore. You know, this is where actually, you know, she, you know, just get serious this time. But yeah, overall, this boss fight, though, I actually really do enjoy it, though. You know, it's very, one thing, it's challenging, though. It's tough, don't get me wrong, but, you know, it's enjoyable at the very least. And especially, like, you know, especially in a fun way where she gives you the quiz questions, but now she doesn't anymore, though. But, you know, it's kind of hard to pick between, like, you know, which is better, like, either this one or the Gruntilda fight in Banjo-Kazooie. But this one's enjoyable, at least, so I would say, for the rest of this fight, you're going to be using the Regal Blaster all throughout, or just the FPS mode. So, yeah, just, you know, just repeat the process, avoid her spells, and, you know, just keep shooting the eggs at her. And, yeah, that's all you do. Your main target is actually just Grunty herself, not so much the drill, and then just shoot the eggs right at her, too. And there we go.
Have we got any more tricks left? Ah, yes, the minions! There he goes! Go get them, doofus!
So, despite the fact that the drill is completely shut down, she actually will still try to use attacks, and it's still, the difficulty still progresses as you continue to fight her. Yeah, she still escalates in her boss fights. She'll try anything in her power to just, you know, continue to try to attack you as well. So yeah, so we have the Uggers to try to attack you. So yeah, just hooks right there. And so yeah, like I said, just repeat the process. Make sure you pick up some honeycombs. Even though I had the honeyback cheat, I'm still, you know, getting my ass handed to me because of all this here. But yeah, I will say the music though, like you know, the difference between the music in Banjo-Kazooie or the final fight and then this game is that, you know, the final fight against Gruntilda, you know, it is pretty tense though and climactic, but also kind of fitting for a witch because he uses her theme or the Grunty's lair theme. This fight, however, is actually much more serious, more menacing and intimidating than previously though, because it's actually the part where, you know, Grunty no longer fucks around. Like, you know, she's more serious this time around, and, you know, she's really desperate to actually, you know, kill Banjo-Kazooie, and, you know, it really does fit for the whole situation because, you know, after all the atrocities that she's committed throughout this game, and, you know, all the losses that she put Banjo-Kazooie through, all the shit she's done, then it really does fit. You know, it really does feel climactic in a way, and, you know.
Aha! Of course! Why didn't I think of this earlier? Release the toxic gas. Cyanide and mustard gas flavor. My favorite.
Wait, that's your favorite smell? I thought it was putrid carrot puke. Oh well. So yeah, this is another difficulty here, that she releases toxic gas along with the mooks. And yeah, your meter will start to drain out, so you really want to hurry before it completely depletes. Yeah, completely depletes, so okay, that was kind of lame there, but yeah, you know, I gotta say, you really gotta hand it to Grant Kirkhope for, you know, making this whole situation, like, very fitting for, you know, for all this here with the final boss fight, you know, so, yeah, again, Grant Kirkhope has really outdone himself this time around, so yeah, that's why this, you know, this theme is actually, you know, a lot more menacing this time around, because, you know, because Grunty isn't fucking around this time, so yeah. Yeah, I'm actually shooting grenades this time, so, you know, there we go.
Okay, numbskulls, time for the biggest, baddest spell I can muster. Prepare to join your buddy Bottles! You'll wish you'd never taken on the mighty Gruntilda Winky Bunyan! Winky Bunyan? Is that your last name, then? No, of course not. But don't you go telling anyone, or I'll sue you.
Whatever you say, Winky.
Now die!
Well, everyone knows now because it's going to be on social media anyway. Alright, so this is actually her desperation attack. It does heavy damage though, but it doesn't, well, not so much heavy damage though, but it doesn't kill you at least. So, you know, while she's firing her spell, shoot the grenades at her, and then that should be it though, if I can have the chance for it though, because, you know, she's shooting ready, she's very accurate attacks and all that though, so yeah, you really got to be careful with this one. She's really desperate here. So, there we go.
Ah! Oh no, the spell! I've dropped it! Quick, somebody get rid of it before it!
And with that, we did it, folks. Gruntilda is down once again, a second time.
Well, we sure showed old Winky Bunyan again, eh, Banjo?
Yep, we certainly did.
Come on, let's get down to Bottles for that party.
Good idea. Seems a bit quiet for a party.
Hey, Bottle Boy, where's this party?
Well, it's finished, I'm afraid. That Klongo sure was hungry. He's eaten everything in the house. Mama wanted to boogie.
Big heat bummer.
It's all your fault, Bird Brain. You should have dealt with a bony crone quicker.
Well, at least I wasn't hiding in my silos like a coward.
Why, you feathered? Ho 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 ho. Useless Wumba hid in Wigwam too.
Shut up, or Wumba turns stupid shaman into a frog.
Me summon gold statue to kick ugly Wumba's butt. Stop it, all of you! You can go outside if you want to argue. Kazooie's got a better idea.
Yeah, does anyone fancy a kick around?
Kick around? What's that, punk? Follow us and find out.
Take that, witch!
This much fun.
Mamba right, big heat fun.
Pass her to me. Ooh, I think her eye just fell out.
You'll be sorry, all of you. Just you wait until Banjo 3E.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. There's the end credits, and so we did it, folks. That was Banjo-Tooie. Now, before I go on, my own thoughts, I do want to say, though, that the credits actually only plays after you just beat the Tower of Tragedy quiz and before the cutscene when Banjo-Kazooie revived Bottles and King Jingling. So I just want to throw that out there that, that's actually when the credits play. But I actually edited that one out of the last episode because I felt like it didn't really fit so well with the placement of it, and so I feel like it's much more appropriate to actually have the credits play after we beat the game, after the final boss, because I didn't think it was appropriate enough to actually have the credits play, like, before we save everything, before the final boss and, before everybody gets saved. So I went ahead and just edited that one out, and then I placed the credits into just the end, after the ending cutscene, so, that way there just feels more appropriate and all that, so... Anyway, with all that said, yeah, we're done with this here. It's been quite a journey itself, and, my overall thoughts for this game, though, it is, I will say, it's such a fantastic game. I fucking love this game to death. And I know it's really going to be in the minority these days, though, because, back then, Banjo-Tooie used to be, very well beloved, because, when Banjo-Tooie was first released, it was, a lot of critical acclaim, though, and then, quite a few years ago, almost about a decade ago, that used to be one of the more popular games. Was considered to be a great sequel and a better game overall than Banjo-Kazooie because it was more innovative and all that. And they did a lot of things better. They took what made Banjo-Kazooie so great and expanded on it. And make this a much better experience. And and personally, I still think it is to this day. I still on the mindset that that is like that though. It's just that, lately, and I feel like this has actually happened ever since the release of Ukulele, because I've actually noticed that right then and there, that, all of a sudden, pretty much everybody hates Banjo-Tooie now. Suddenly everybody hates Banjo-Tooie. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, though, I mean, there are people that, that prefer Banjo-Kazooie over Banjo-Tooie, and, and that's fine, if you're not really into, big open worlds, with the collectons and all that, and you actually kind of prefer a more simple genre overall of games and stuff, and then people will prefer Banjo-Kazooie firsthand, and so that's absolutely fine. If you feel like some people like one thing over the other, and so that'd be fine. You got people who prefer Banjo-Kazooie. There are people who prefer Banjo-Tooie itself. But it's just that nowadays people are actually just just jumping on the hate bandwagons though, and I'm actually really convinced and I'm talking I'm actually more so talking about the people who the more hypocritical people who actually they actually do enjoy open world games, let's say Breath of the Wild, for instance, and and they actually really enjoy open world games where Banjo-Tooie is kind of like that itself because it's more interconnected in a way, but they actually just bash on the game and actually hate on it just because it's too big and all that, despite the fact that they actually would potentially prefer, or they potentially enjoy open world games, games that are just as big itself. And, and that's, a really lame excuse about how, hating them. They just go, yeah, it's too big. This game fucking sucks. And, and I think it's because, at least one person did a video essay on why they don't think Banjo-Tooie is great and they hate it. And that's when somebody, just goes in hive minds and agrees. Or just jump on the hate bandwagons. And so now everybody else has done video essays on that, on why they think Banjo-Tooie sucks. Or, actually, no, not so much they think. They say that's a fact. And so there's a lot of video essays and all that, and so I've seen so many of them, and it's like, guys, come on. I mean, you're only saying that just because somebody else said so, and that's why I would say, you know, just play the game, and then you decide on whether you like the game or not. Just don't say you hate the game just because somebody else said so, because you know that's a really lame excuse for that. But you know, but all those tangents aside, you know, I really do think it's a fantastic game, and you know, and that this alongside Majora's Mask is, you know, without doubt my absolute favorite game of all time, and you know, it's such a great experience. Like you know, like I said, they took what made Banjo-Kazooie so great and expanded on it. And, you know, all the worlds are interconnected. The world is so much more fleshed out. And, you know, and it's a pretty challenging game, too, but in a fun kind of way, though. And, you know, and I gotta say, though, one thing I really love about this is the writing and the humor. Because, well, granted, while Banjo-Kazooie was funny, though, a lot of it's kind of limited to where, you know, where the characters or the NPCs are, you know, or kind of explaining their situations. And so after you get to know their situation, then they actually thank you. But this game is actually funnier, though. Like, you know, there's much more witty humor, and, you know, much better writing, and, you know, with better character interactions and all that. And, you know, Banjo-Kazooie actually talk a lot more than they did previously in Banjo-Kazooie, where, you know, they actually respond. Well, especially Kazooie. I fucking love Kazooie in this one, though, because, like, you know, she always has to respond in the most snarky ways possible. It's always funny and, you know, very charming in a way. And, you know, it really does have a lot of that charm that we have here in this game, you know, because of all the because of the humor and all that. And it's you know, it's a real funny game, and I get some good laughs out of it too. And so it's so much better because of it. But, you know, but one thing I really do love about this is, you know, that the world actually feels a lot more fleshed out and more open. You know, a lot of the interconnected worlds and all that. And, you know, it really it gives the overall a lot more life than in Banjo-Kazooie, where it's more structured. Like, you know, and you're like in different areas though, but it's actually more segmented in a way. But this game is not like that, though, where it's like more open world, but, you know, while keeping the whole collectathon aspect. And I do know there's a lot of backtracking involved in all that, though, but at least it tries to be consistent with backtracking, though. And this is actually where people would actually harp on the game just for backtrack, because, like, you know, because they don't really like backtracking in general in games, though. Then that would be fine, though. But it's actually supposed to be more like, you know, kind of a Metroidvania kind of aspect, where, you know, if you enjoy Metroid games, then you probably enjoy it just as much, though. But, like, you know, but it's also, like, you know, those people who actually love the Metroid series but actually hate this game because of it. And that's also another one of those hypocritical things where, you know, yeah, I just feel like people actually just, you know, find some ways to complain about it or just hate the game for the sake of hating it, and, you know, I don't know, people complain about it a lot. I mean, I know it would be probably the same, like, you know, with Donkey Kong 64, but to be fair, though, it's understandable in a way as to why people wouldn't like Donkey Kong 64, because I can see where the frustrations are coming from, though. And so, you know, I can understand from that perspective, but, you know, but it's like, you know, Banjo-Tooie was so well beloved, and, you know, a lot of people consider it to be better than Banjo-Kazooie, but then lately, people just start hating the game nowadays, you know, for the wrong reasons, the way I see it, though. And it's like, yeah, I just feel like people are just complaining for the sake of complaining, or just, you know, hating it for the sake of hating it, and, you know, just, you know, maybe getting good views, because that's the way I see it, though, is that, you know, people do video essays on why they hate the game, so that way hopefully everybody else will agree with them, you know, just for the sake of, you know, getting more views and all that, though. And that's, you know, that's the kind of thing that I just don't like. But, you know, but if you generally don't like things that are too complex, you like it more, you rather prefer games that are more simple, or, you know, more casual in a sense, so then I can understand. So, but, you know, as somebody who is always all for a non-linear adventure, I mean, you know, granted, I actually do like linear games itself too, but, you know, but I'm also okay with non-linear games, though. And, you know, Banjo-Tooie does it so well with, you know, with making it much more open, you know, more adventurous and all that, though. And honestly, though, it really does feel like a true sequel, because, you know, this is actually not every day you see games that are, like, you know, they're more connected in a sense. You know, with Banjo-Kazooie, you learn all the moves that there is at your disposal, and Banjo-Tooie actually keeps that. You know, this actually averts the whole bag of spilling kind of trope, where, you know, at the very start of the game, Banjo-Kazooie actually keep all their moves and abilities that they learn in Banjo-Kazooie. But at least, you know, there's those molehills in which, you know, Bottles will talk to you and kind of give you a refresher on how to use a move. So, you know, at least the game still does provide you at least with that. And it actually does a good job with that at least, too. So, you know, that's actually, and it's all optional. Like, you've already, if you play Banjo-Kazooie, then you already know about this. But if you play this game for the first time before Banjo-Kazooie, then at least it's there. And, you know, the game does a good job with that, too. But, you know, overall, this game is fantastic. I love this game to death, and, you know, and don't get me wrong, I also love Banjo-Kazooie. I also grew up playing Banjo-Kazooie itself, you know, as, you know, having such an impact, you know, just going back to those games, you know, really does make me feel like a kid again. But, you know, if I actually want, you know, they have good Banjo-Kazooie games that I want to play, I would just go straight to Banjo-Tooie and, you know, just, you know, have a good time with it. And, it's such a great experience overall. And so, you know, if you actually love these kind of games where it actually really does feel connected, because, you know, it really does feel like a true sequel and a real proper continuation of Banjo-Kazooie, then, you know, I would definitely recommend this game. And, you know, you can also decide for yourself whether you like it or whether you hate it, though. I mean, it's up to you. Just, again, don't just go and suddenly agree with what people say, or just, you know, suddenly hate the game just because somebody else said so. You know, just play the game for yourself, form your own opinion, and you decide for yourself whether you like the game or whether you don't like it. And so, you know, just from your own perspective, just don't go the whole Ego Raptor route or anything like that. And, you know, because that's kind of what people are doing these days, though. So, yeah, overall fantastic game. And, you know, if you don't, if you have an N64, then you can also get the you can actually get the N64 version. The one complaint I actually have about this game, though, like, you know, this is only more apparent if I was playing the N64 version, is the frame rate. It is very choppy, and there could be a bit of slowdown. So that's actually the one complaint that I have about the game. And also, aside from fucking Canary Mary, yeah, that. But I know the Xbox Live Arcade version does at least fix the whole frame rate issue, so it's actually much smoother, and, you know, there's not very much slowdown. You know, running at 60 FPS, I think it was. I think it's 60 FPS. So if you actually want a good experience for that, though, then I would recommend the Xbox Live Arcade. Aside from the fact that you know, the opening cutscene, like I said, has horrible syncing issues because of the increased frame rate. So I will say that much there. Or if you have a Nintendo Switch Online subscription, then you can actually play the NSO version because it's out now. And so there's actually not much frame rate issues here either. You know, there's not much lag, so they kind of got rid of it as well. So that's still a good experience. And, you know, kind of reason that, you know, it's good for me to actually just play the NSO version. So, but yeah, I would definitely recommend Banjo-Tooie, you know, just if you have any one of those consoles, like whether it's the N64, the Xbox consoles, or the Nintendo Switch Online, if you have that console and plus the subscription too. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. Yeah, but overall, fantastic game. I love it to death, and I want to play this, you know, as part of a milestone celebration for reaching 20 Let's Plays alongside Majora's Mask, because, you know, they're both my favorite games of all time, and, you know, having such, you know, big fans of those. And, you know, and I will say this though, that, you know, the ending itself, though, I mean, now, for one thing, I actually really do enjoy the ending because how funny it is. They actually, you know, kick Grunty's skull around. You have to say, hey, fuck you, Grunty. But, you know, I will say, though, that the ending is kind of a bittersweet ending to me. Now, I mean, granted, though, not really so much in the game itself, though, because obviously it is a happy ending because, you know, we've all beat the game we wanted and we can celebrate. But in our eyes, in a way, it's still kind of a bittersweet ending to us, though, because like, to us, from our perspective, the reason it is, though, because it wouldn't actually be so long before, like, you know, 2 years before Rare would eventually get acquired by Microsoft, and so that was when, you know, things kind of, like, you know, take a little bit of a downside ever since then, though, because like, you know, because that's when, you know, Banjo-Kazooie wouldn't really so much see the light of day quite so much again, though. Well, especially after Nuts and Bolts, because, you know, that was like, you know, when, you know, everything tanked and all that, though, and so that's when things were never really the same ever again, though, and so it's kind of hard at this point. Now, I know we did get Banjo-Kazooie into Smash Ultimate, which, you know, was the happiest day of our lives, I will say that much. I was so happy seeing them again, though, but aside from that, though, then the future of Banjo-Kazooie doesn't really seem to be all that bright nowadays, though, because, you know, like, you know, a lot of the staff members have already left. You know, the ones that had made Banjo-Kazooie already left, though, and so it's difficult to see, because, you know, because I know everybody wants a new Banjo game, and, you know, I mean, I would love one too, don't get me wrong, but it's hard to see it coming, though, because, you know, because of current circumstances and all that, though, and, you know, it's a lot to explain. Now, I heard Toys for Bob is at least interested in looking at Banjo-Kazooie and, you know, just tackling it, though, which, I mean, you know, if that's true, though, then, you know, I'd be looking forward to it, though, but at this point, I'm not really going to hold my breath, though, but I don't know. I guess only time will tell. But, you know, what they would have to do first is, you know, do a remaster of Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, which is actually one thing I would like to see going forward, and then maybe do something else after that, though, but I don't know. Only time will tell, though, but I'm not exactly going to hold my breath, so. Anyway, so, yeah, I guess all there is to say is just about reaching 30 minutes, though, because I know I talk a lot. I'm sorry, guys, but, yeah, so this should be the end here. So, before we actually go ahead and officially end off Banjo-Tooie for the Let's Play before it comes to a close, there's actually one more video that I'm going to do, because I did say there was going to be an extra video where I show some, you know, some extra content off. Banjo-Tooie doesn't really have that much in terms of post-game, unlike with Banjo-Kazooie. But there's actually just a few more things I do want to show off. So, so for the next video, there will be an extra video that's going to be uploaded. Hopefully tomorrow, because I do want to get that done at least before I get to the next Let's Play. And so, yeah, that should be the plan here. So thank you guys so much for joining me in this finale here, and then and I'll see you guys for the next bonus video. So stay tuned until then.